Hey everybody, just wrapped up right here, Lake Chickamauga, stop number 8 of the Bassmaster Elite Series. Welcome back to another edition of the Mossy Oak Fishing Recap. Unfortunately, it is day number 3. Everybody else is out there on the water, and I'm stuck back here again. Finished up here this week in 50th place, which at this point in the season, we got one event left. I think I'm gonna shake out somewhere around 33rd, 34th as far as the classic cut line goes. So very thankful to have the points that I had this week. You know, just to talk about Chickamauga and set it up a little bit. I've fished 2 opens here, I think, top 10 in both of those, but they were in the spring. One was in the spring, one was in the summer. And then I fished the Bass Fest here in the summer, way back my first year. So have a little bit of tournament experience here. You know, this week I had a lot of things in my mind that I wanted to try out and practice. I wanted to go all the way up to the Watts Bar Dam and try it in the tail race. I tried that, it didn't work. Wanted to go up in all the major creeks, Soddy Creek, Possum Creek, Sail Creek, Grasshopper, all the Wolf Teaver Creek. I went up in all those creeks looking for a group of fish and looking for a place where I could really just kind of try to dial it in, sort of like I did last week at Santee, and I just never found that. I really had a tough practice here, and I knew if I was going to have a good tournament, I needed some good fortune on my side. And that just did not happen for me. I weighed in 3 fish each day for right around 6.5 to 7 pounds. You know, so shook out 50th place, but Chickamauga is fishing super tough this week. After day 2, like I said, it's day 3 now. I think 28 pounds is leading, so 14 pounds a day. And any other time of year, 14 pounds a day, you'd get laughed off stage here at Chickamauga. This is a phenomenal fishery, and I know that. I just didn't run into them this week, and it's just tough fishing this time of year. It's just fall fishing, but you know, 2 of the deals, the way I did catch the fish I caught, I really committed to just frogging and flipping, you know, punching mats and throwing a frog over the mats. My flipping setup was the same as from Santee last week, 1.25 ounce mustad, tight necks, flipping weight, 3/0 or a 4/0, most of the time a 3/0 in the Exxon Lures Muscleback Finesse Crawl, mustad grit pin max flipping hook on there, a couple of bobber stops, 60-pound vicious no fade braid. I always use 60-pound whenever I'm punching. And on the frog, I always use 50-pound vicious no fade braid. And let me throw you a couple of tips for frog fishing in matted vegetation. If I can't show you some really good frog catches, I at least want to show you some tips in there. So here I've got 2 different frogs. This is the Spro 65. I'm not sponsored at all by Spro. This is just what I throw. This is the Spro 65, and then this is the Junior, the 60 size. I always keep both of them handy this time of year when I'm fishing mats. You will get better hookups with the 60 size, in my opinion, if you can get them to come up through the mat. So when you're fishing mats, think of it this way. When you're in dirty water, you throw a spinnerbait with a big Colorado blade or an Indiana blade because you want more thump. Or you might throw a ribbon tail worm versus a straight tail worm in dirtier water. Okay, when you're in a thicker mat, you want a bigger frog and you want more commotion out of that frog because you want to move more water to get that fish to come up through it. When you're in a thinner mat, you can get by with that Junior frog. Another thing I do with my frogs, I put BBs in them. I stole these from my 9-year-old daughter before we left the house. They're just regular old BBs. They're for her BB gun, actually. I put 4 of those BBs in each one of these frogs, and that does 2 things. Number 1, it gives you some sound. Maybe you can hear that if I rattle it in the mic. It gives you some sound, and it also weights that frog down a little bit to where it presses that mat a little more and lets those fish know it's there. I've actually put all the way up to a 1/4 ounce of weight. Take a couple of 1/8 ounce mustad bullet weights and stuff in that frog to make it compress that mat and let those fish know it's there. So there's a couple of tips for you. And my favorite color frog is just that natural red color. It's more of a brown. It's got some red on the bottom of it, but it works really well. You know, sometimes I'll throw a white frog, sometimes I may throw a black one, but that brown one day in and day out is definitely my favorite. But that's pretty much it here at Chickamauga. You know, like I said, if I caught a 4-pounder either of the last 2 days, I'd be right back out there today and things would be looking a whole lot different, but I didn't. So, you know, it's all good. We're getting down to the nitty gritty. I've got 2 opens left. I've got 1 more elite left at Lake Fork. So, you know, all in all, it's been a good year. You know, looking forward to 3 or 4 days off. Then I'm going to go to Lake Cherokee and another Tennessee lake and fish the Bassmaster Eastern Open, and then we'll wrap it up at Lake Fork here pretty soon. So appreciate y'all tagging along. Hope you learned a little something about frogging. Come to Chickamauga in the spring or summer. You'll see what this lake is really made of. But thanks for tagging along. I'll see you next time right here on the Mossy Oak Fishing Recap.